Right, welcome back to the Jackwood Football Podcast and welcome to another League One roundup, the penultimate weekend of this Sky Bet League One campaign with our first teams being promoted into the Championship. It's a 5-game special for you in the episode today. Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe in the comment section down below. How do you reflect on this weekend in Sky Bet League One? And thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. We did it in the week and it was a simply fantastic achievement. I'm so proud of it, and that's down to you showing your support week in, week out. Thank you very, very much, and let's move on to the next milestone, but the support has been just second to none. Let's get straight into it, beginning with Oxford United against Forest Green Rovers. So it finishes Forest Green Rovers 0, Oxford United 3. The XG for the match 0.32 to Oxford's 0.63. Oxford United are safe, and relief is the feeling amongst myself and all Oxford United fans waking up this morning. Professional, calm, controlled, clinical, all words that we can finally associate with Oxford United this season. By looking at the graph in front of you, we were in control. Oxford dominated the game and never were threatened by Forest Green. It was so important to build on that fantastic win, that first win in 18 games on Tuesday against Cheltenham. And we did. We absolutely did. We spoke about how good Oxford were on Tuesday night, but making sure that we brought those positive elements into this game in what was a really, really important game. When we look at the safety and the potential safety of Oxford United, now we can throw that word potential out of the window and say that we will be competing in Sky Bet League One next season. We scored 3 fantastic goals, got the job done outside the box as well. We scored from outside the area. I mean, who'd have thought Oxford this season scoring from long range? It was just really, really quite refreshing. And I use that word again because these last 2 games have come down to confidence. They've come down to brilliant work tactically from Liam Manning. The work that he's done is now really paying off when it comes to score lines and, of course, 3 points. And now safety. He came in to save what was a very, very quite horrendous season. Started off, we definitely looked organised defensively, had improved things at the back, but then the goals needed to come. And these last 2 games, we've seen those goals. And the floodgates have opened, the confidence is now oozing out of these players. And you can see they're playing with, I know it's cliche and a little bit soft, but they're playing with a smile on their face. I know the goals do help that, but you can see the confidence is really, really taking these players to another level when it comes to ability, and that's exactly what we needed, because no doubt there's talent in this squad, but it was about finding that talent and finding it in time before things got really, really quite bad, and that was, of course, relegation. That isn't going to happen now, and at the right time, we've clicked, and we've just got ourselves out of what has been a pretty rubbish season. We're looking at it from a more broader perspective. We're looking at the statistics here, never worried about the attacking threat of Forest Green Rovers. They had 2 shots, 1 shot on target. You could tell they had nothing to play for. 6 on target and 3 goals is a much better ratio from an Oxford point of view. Once again, how important confidence is when it comes to goal scoring ability. Defensively, really solid as well. Another clean sheet for the back line. Again, that organisation and the work that we've done, or Liam Manning's done. I say we, I haven't done it, but Liam Manning and his coaching staff, Hogg, has done is definitely shore us up defensively. And I think shipping too many goals, not scoring enough goals, that's going to leave you in a very, very damaging place when looking at the table. Organisation was key. Create chances. Slowly but surely, you're going to start hitting the back of the net and seeing those rewards, and we are now seeing those rewards. Let's have a look at the lineups then, because we saw some really, really positive players, I think, put in some fantastic performances. Carl Joseph, for one, was fantastic again. And when we talk about pressing from the front, Joseph is that key player. We did a Manning video when he was appointed, and we spoke about how it was really, really key in his system that playing with a pressing, hard-working centre-forward was so important, and was the reason why I think Carl Joseph has played so many minutes this season, and especially when Manning's come in, he definitely is that hard worker, and the ground that he covers is really, really quite good and important and pivotal in the way that we do press from the front. I think his link-up play has really improved under Liam Manning. I think we speak about link-up play, speak about hold-up play. We sort of throw that around with strikers. But actually, when you look at Carl Joseph, he's dropping deeper to find the ball. He's not just dropping deeper to create space. He's dropping deeper to pick up the ball and then try and spread it out to the likes of Josh Murphy, Marcus Brown, Goodrum, Billy Bowden, maybe if he sort of makes a run from a little bit more of a number 10 position. But you're looking at Carl Joseph now playing as a more all-round complete striker, but he hasn't lost that hard work as well, which is fantastic. You get those two ticking on nicely alongside each other. I think we've got a really, really good striker in Carl Joseph. Unfortunately, we don't have him. Swansea have him, but we do right now. He probably will be going back to Swansea, of course, where his parent club He's in the Championship, and we're going to have to try and sort something out potentially in the summer, because I think Kyle Joseph, if I had the opportunity, I would be thinking about maybe bringing him in on a permanent basis, because when I look at important players in a Manning system long term, I think Kyle Joseph could be a really, really interesting option. I do. And then I look at Billy Bowden and Tyler Goodrum when he came on in that number 10 position. We've seen this sort of 4-2-3-1. We've sort of been speaking about holding midfielders and Marcus McGuane being that sort of really sort of number 6 position in front of that back four. But actually the double pivot of McGuane and Brannigan with Billy Bowden in front of him was really, really good. And it got another attacking body in there. In fact, I can show you with the attacking positions, the average positions and the attacking areas, loads of bodies in that attacking third. You can see Kieran Brown, Sam Long. I mean, Kieran Brown's slightly higher, but again, the fullbacks are much higher. But that double pivot, that really close double pivot of Brannigan and Marcus McGuane, and then number 7, Billy Bowden, playing in that number 10 role, playing as quite a central number 10, does drift and has that ability to roam, but he can play as that really solid number 10, and that's really, really important. It's something that we haven't seen. So by adding that number 10, you've got another attacking body in the final third, and then with that 4-2-3-1 structure, you've got a double pivot that can protect the back four if needed, but also can create from deep as well. The energy and the drive of Marcus McGuane and the just technical ability and hard work of Cameron Brannigan, I think works really well. You can see Brannigan's heat map here. He took over that midfield. I mean, he was just controlling the centre of the field, and that is what Cameron Brannigan can do. Like I said, that technical ability, but also willingness to run, and run. You can see what it meant for Cameron Brannigan at the end of the game when the safety was confirmed. That meant so much to him, because what you can't argue is his care and just willingness to never give up. And all these players in the end, they did step up. Look, it wasn't a very good season whatsoever, but you can't argue when it mattered, we did come through and we did step up, but we needed to. However, waking up this morning, the most important thing for myself and all Oxford United supporters is looking at the league table and knowing that we will be competing in Sky Bet League One next season. Although it hasn't been confirmed, mathematically, there'd have to be a 16-goal turnover on the final day against Accrington. Even I think we'll be okay in that one. Oxford, get the job done. 3-0 against Forest Green Rovers. We will be competing in League One next season. We're safe. We can breathe at last. So next up, just a casual 4-4 draw in professional football. It finishes MK Dons 4, Barnsley 4. The XG for the match, 1.80 to Barnsley's 0.34. A Sunday League scoreline that just does sum up how crazy this League One season has been. Probably a manager and defender's worst nightmare, but a fantastic comeback by Barnsley, leaving MK Dons still in a fight against relegation. Positives for MK Dons, but ultimately I sound like a broken record at this stage of the season. At the business end, it's all about the result. You can see when looking at the graph in front of you, in that second half in particular, it was crazy in front of goal. From an attacking perspective, all over the shop. The first half, fairly tame. Both sides did have chances, but in the second half, it was only 1-0 at the break. It was just everywhere. Especially, like I said, looking at the final third. To go from being on top, MK Dons 4-up against a fantastic Barnsley side who are 4th in the league, competing in the playoffs this season, causing them so many problems. To draw this game is a massive blow for MK Dons and could be season-defining. To be in that position, 4-1 at home, with not long to go. We'll come on to the game in just a second and break down when the goals came. In fact, we can do it straight away. An 86th minute 4-4 equaliser, but in the 69th minute, with 20 minutes to go pretty much, to be 4-up in a game that does mean so much in a relegation fight, to not win the game says quite a lot about defensively things not being up to scratch. And I think probably does sum up defensively where they've been all season. They've shipped way too many goals. Goal scoring wise hasn't been awful. Nowhere near as good as it was last season. But defensively, we've spoken all season about MK Dons being way too leaky. And when it matters, like I said, in a season defining moment, being 4-up with not long to go, this could play a really, really big part. Barnsley fans, I thank you a little bit. In fact, Barnsley fans, I don't really thank you personally, but I mean Barnsley just football club. The players really, thank you, because it does mean that Oxford United are mathematically / not so mathematically safe going into the final day. But I'm communicating with Barnsley fans, so I'll thank you personally now. But like I said, on a serious note, looking at it from an MK Dons point of view, it's really, really concerning. And like I said, it could be season defining and could cost them a place in League One next season. We're looking at the stats here, a fairly even game when it comes to attacking numbers. Both sides really gave it. From a neutral perspective, it was a fantastic game. And of course, not many neutrals will be watching this game, but if they were, I think they're a fantastic watch, because from an attacking angle, everywhere. Goals flying in from everywhere. We had penalties, build-up play. I think some of the moves are really, really good. Goal line scrambles, long ranges. This game had the lot, but mistakes, not being as structured, not being as organised. I think defensively, all over the shop at points. All 8 goals coming from in and around the penalty area. I mean, we look at shot maps. Not many more shot maps would be as crazy as this one. There's no pattern, is there? There is no pattern. Maybe MK Dons maybe being a little bit better from or shooting from more wider areas, and Barnsley sort of taking a more narrow approach. But that's probably because MK Dons sort of had a little bit more width in the game. But again, you can see very, very scattered, and 3 goals were actually inside the 6-yard box. So lots of avoidable errors. I think defensively, Michael Duffer watched his post-match interview. He was not very impressed, and you can see why. They're 4th in the league, and to be shipping 4 goals in a game going into a playoff campaign isn't ideal from a sort of psychological defender's mindset. They'll be a little bit harmed by that. Hopefully not going to derail them. I don't think it will, but never nice to concede 4 goals, is it? When we look at the league table, it's not all over for MK Dons, but things could have looked so much better. 44 points, like I said, it's about Cambridge and their game on Wednesday. If they win that game in hand, of course, that will see MK Dons drop out. Will it? Yeah, drop into the bottom 4. And then, of course, it's going into the final day with it not being in their hands. They've got to rely on other results. Cambridge and Morecambe, they're going to be looking at them over their shoulder and having to do the job themselves. A disappointing collapse, and the word collapse comes into play here. I think it is a collapse from MK Dons. Barnsley, all eyes now on the playoffs. But again, a 4-4. Crazy. Only in League One. MK Dons 4, Barnsley 4 is the final score. So next up, Shrewsbury 0, Sheffield Wednesday 3. The XG for the match is 0.84 to 1.56. An impressive 3 points and hat-trick from Michael Smith. But else again for Darren Moore's side. The graph, XG and the scoreline, it clearly shows who was the better side on the afternoon. Wednesday on top throughout. A perfect performance. But their recent slip-up is the reason why this doesn't really matter, or doesn't matter as much as it could have done. The one positive, and look, there are multiple positives when you look at the performance in a more deeper way, but the more broad positive is that going into the playoffs with good form and confidence is really, really important and can make a difference. Of course, Wednesday will be hoping, or would have hoped, that this game would have meant more than just a good run of form going into a playoff campaign, especially when you look at where they were earlier on in the season. But that is something to take away from this game. They were very, very good and played with a sense of freedom, and I sort of posed the question, lack of pressure equals more freedom, and they looked like the Wednesday during that unbeaten run, real confidence, a clinical edge. Michael Smith I thought was fantastic. We'll come on to him and key players in just a second, because he's definitely somebody to take a note of. But domination when it comes to possession, and you can see, look at the stats there, complete and utter domination. When you look at ball possession, always had control of the game. Shrewsbury couldn't get into it. They had quite a few shots, but never really testing the goalkeeper. Far better shot on target ratio than Shrewsbury, causing problems throughout. And again, I want to highlight that point, maybe because there wasn't as much on the line, and they knew that they had to look at Ipswich and Plymouth to potentially drop points in order to make a, let's be honest, a quite unlikely push into the top 2 after the result yesterday. Maybe that did help them. And you can see they looked much, much better on the ball. They looked more creative, adventurous in the way they attacked. And Smith, let's come on to him straight away. We've got to look at Michael Smith, because he is the talking point. Of course, the other players, and I think generally most of those players in a Wednesday shirt yesterday really did step up. But Michael Smith, I thought, was just second to none. Scored with every shot he had on target, a physical presence. All of those goals came from him being a bully, and sort of a bullying those defenders in a footballing sense throughout the game. Look at him sitting on that centre circle. So much for the game. We'll look at that heat map there. He knows where the goal is. And they also know where Barry Bannon can just, as an example, I know Barry Bannon did get an assist in the game. And also with Johnson as well. He didn't get an assist, did he, actually? He did, right at the end, the third goal. You can see Barry Bannon, and even with Johnson as well, that cross that Johnson does on the head of Michael Smith. A real variety of goals, a perfect striker performance. But sitting on that centre circle, the players like Bannon, Johnson, Gregory assisting him know exactly where that ball's got to go. Because Michael Smith has got that physical but natural striker presence to tuck away every chance that he gets. And 3 shots on target, 3 goals. Not a bad ratio for a centre forward, is it? Wednesday, that win doesn't send them into the top 2. It's going to be a playoff campaign again. Of course, their game next week will decide who they're going to be playing in those playoff in those playoff games, in those playoff semi-finals. At the moment, it would be Derby, but Peterborough have a chance to sneak in there based on the final game next Sunday. Shrewsbury, not a great run of form. I feared for Shrewsbury in that video I did a couple of weeks ago when looking at teams run into the season. I said Shrewsbury had a pretty nasty run in, and it could be quite a bad run of form they go on. and 4 defeats out of 5. It isn't great, is it? In the end, it's a solid season for Shrewsbury. Lots to build on. They're not going to be worried about relegation. They are on the beach. It's been a mid-table, comfortable campaign and much better compared to previous ones. But I did fear for them in these last few games because they've had some really quite difficult ones. It does end in a 3-0 defeat against Sheffield Wednesday. For Shrewsbury, it's 0. Sheffield Wednesday 3. So next up, Plymouth 1, Burton 0. The XG for the match 1.71 to Burton's 0.45. Plymouth had one job coming into this game to secure promotion to the Championship, and they did it. Simply job done for Stephen Schumacher's side. You can see when looking at the graph in front of you, a very dominant display, one that only did deserve one winner. A goal came just before half-time when Plymouth were knocking on the door, and that important goal did come. When looking at the stats in front of you, complete and utter domination, 66% possession in that first half, even more dominant, 73%. You could tell the idea was get the job done early, settle the nerves with a goal in the first half. Got a little bit nervy going into the second half where there wasn't another one. They didn't kill the game off with 22 shots on goal, but they won't care. Not one Plymouth fan will care at all, because that one goal is the reason why they will be playing, well, not literally the only reason why, but a big reason why they will be playing in the Championship next season. When we move and just reflect by looking at those players and reflect on the phenomenal season that Plymouth have had, to be chased by the likes of Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday all season and not break at any point is beyond impressive. They've been relentless all season. They never took their foot off the gas when people were saying, are they going to bottle it again? Is it going to be deja vu with Plymouth, of course, missing out on the playoffs last year, completely and utterly out of the window? No chance of that. Their recruitment has been just second to none. The players they've brought in, the players that they've replaced, again, can't argue, can only say perfection. In difficult moments, they've controlled their way through and got over the line. Congratulations to Plymouth and good luck in the Championship next season. It's been a pleasure covering you across the campaign. And like I said, I do wish you luck in the Championship next year, because Plymouth, they've been fantastic in League One and definitely do deserve, no doubt, to be competing in the league above next season. Plymouth, they win against Burton and secure promotion. It finishes Plymouth 1, Burton Albion 0. So talk about doing it in style. Another side that did secure promotion out of League One yesterday. It finishes Ipswich 6, Exeter 0. The XG for the match 1.67 to Exeter's 0.23. Let me just read out some of these recent results for Ipswich. A 4-0 win over Forest Green, a 1-0 win over MK Dons, a 4-0 win over Burton, a 3-0 win over Accrington, a 2-0 win over Bolton, a 2-0 win over Shrewsbury, 2-0 win over Derby, 4-0 over Wycombe, a 1-1 draw against Cheltenham, a 6-0 win against Charlton, 2-1 against Port Vale, 3-0 against Peterborough, 3-0 against Barnsley, 6-0 against Exeter. Simply incredible. And that is why they're going up. Let's go to the game timeline here. Talk about getting the job done early and settling the nerves. 5 goals in 32 minutes, just showing exactly the type of side that Kieran McKenna has created. Relentless. You can see the amount of goals he scored in those last games. And the goals they didn't even concede. They were just defensively spot on. Going forward, relentless. And this game summarised how they've been through that run of games, and you'd have to say the entire season. Nerves can play a part in these games with slow starts, but not for Ipswich. Getting that job done in that first half, 5-0 at half-time, you win and you're up. That's fine, we'll just score 5 goals, won't concede any, and we'll be 5-0 up at the break. And that's absolutely fine with us. Look at the lineups. To a man, Ipswich were perfect. Again, every midfielder and attacker that started the game got at least 1 goal contribution. Exeter just couldn't get near them. It was a train passing through the station and no intention of stopping. It was suffocation. Jake said in a video we did quite a few weeks ago, describing the way that Ipswich play, it is suffocation. Get to the opposition by their neck and just run through them. And they did that. Broadhead, Connor Chaplin with 2. Hurst, Wes Burns with a goal. Lyungu and Morsey, that 2 that have been fantastic. This is the side that Kieran McKenna, again, they've got so much talent, but this is the strongest team. This is the side that you'd say has been a huge reason why this recent form has been nothing short than perfection, and the game yesterday worked so well because they've got, again, a clear understanding of what every player is able to do, where every player is going to be, and the pure quality that every player does bring. Key players, easy to pick out any player. You know, we could pick out any player from a hat wearing a blue shirt yesterday, but I would go with Connor Chaplin. 3 goal contributions, 2 goals and 1 assist, 1 big chance created as well. Now 31 goal contributions in League One this season. I mean, can we say much more? Team of the season video coming out very, very soon. Tom's on the channel right now. Connor Chaplin, I'm not going to spoil too much. Chaplin does get into both of those teams. How he didn't win Player of the Season in the EFL is ridiculous. I don't know. Of course, Barry Bannon definitely should be up there with him. But Connor Chaplin has been just perfection. 31 goal contributions. Brilliant again yesterday. For Ipswich yesterday, it was just about one thing. Getting out of League One. Kieran McKenna has transformed this side into playing some of the best football this league has ever seen. They could finish the season on 100 points and 100 goals. That is remarkable. After 4 seasons, Ipswich will be competing in the Championship next season. I'll scroll down and let that settle in for you. They are in second place. They could still win the league, but Plymouth and Ipswich won't be too bothered who wins the league. Of course, a bit on the line, but it's about getting out of League One, and that is what the celebrations were all about yesterday. It's finally promotion for Ipswich. After 4 years in Sky Bet League One, they will be a Championship club once again. It finishes Ipswich 6, Exeter 0. So let's go around the grounds. Of course, this was a 5-game special, but we could easily have selected just more than the 5. It finishes Derby 1, Pompey 1. A good result on the road for John Massinio's side. Derby, they are still in the top 6 because Peterborough also did drop points, but it isn't secured just yet. However, for Bolton, it is a 2-0 win over Fleetwood Town. They will be in the playoffs this season. Peterborough 0, Bristol Rovers at 0 is the final score. Peterborough still outside those playoff places, not taking the chance that they could have won that game. They did have those moments, but weren't able to. Let's go to the next page here. Wycombe 0, Cheltenham 3. Wycombe's chances of playoffs were gone before this game, but this hasn't helped and would not have helped. Wycombe were appalling on the day, and Cheltenham won that one 3-0. Wycombe are in a real problem. I think Wycombe need a serious reboot over the summer. Bloomfield haven't been convinced since he's come through the door. Charlton 3, Port Vale 2. A great game of football, a 5-goal thriller, but Charlton are the ones that come out with the win, beating Port Vale. Morecambe 3, Lincoln City 2. The amount of goals in this match week has been fantastic. 3-2 to Morecambe. Of course, Morecambe now making it interesting going into the final game of the season when looking at the relegation fight. And then another relegation game that meant quite a lot. Accrington 1, Cambridge United 2 is the final score in that one. Cambridge keeping their hopes alive. They've got a game in hand on Wednesday, and that is just about everything. Thank you so much for watching on this Sunday afternoon. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please do leave a like and subscribe. Thank you again for 5,000 subscribers, and a fantastic achievement and milestone to hit. That's down to you. Keep supporting the channel. More content to come to you as we now head into the final game of the season and then the playoffs. I'm looking forward to it. Take care. I've been Jack. This has been the Jack Ward Football Podcast, and I will see you all very, very soon. Take care.